was actually really fun to plan. It was a blast. It was kind of like a wedding, but I didn't have to find a husband, and so that was really fun. But I want to welcome my top producing panel here today. Just as a reminder, y'all have got your QR codes on the back here. I'll be following your questions, so we'll try to get as many of those in as we can. But they are going to have lots of great info to dish today. And I didn't even introduce myself. I'm Sunny Tracy. I'm the operations director here at Spyglass Realty, and I was the organizer here today. But super excited about this panel. First up, we have John Crowe, my good friend. And John has been a longtime top producer here after coming out of a sales and technology career at IBM. He's one of the most gracious peers and mentors, and I think everybody else that knows him in the room can probably say that. And he's serving as a director at the Board of Realtors with me. Very glad to do that with him, and I'm pumped to have John up here today. Meredith Alderson leads the Heyday Group at Compass, where her production award list is very, very long. She credits her enthusiastic, client-focused approach to being able to build strong referral network with past clients. We're so glad to have Meredith here with us today. Adam Walker is a local Austinite like me. We're a couple of South Austin kids. And he's one of the top producing agents at Realty Austin month after month, year after year. He started in real estate investing, still doing a lot of that, as well as managing Walker Elite team at Realty Austin. So we're pumped to have Adam here today. And then lastly, we have Dena Davis with the Davis Group. And she runs a team of, and has been a top producing agent for years and years in the past. Been very, very successful, known as the Queen of Shady Hollow for a very long time, and also Ryan's sister. So maybe we'll get some good dirt today. Never know. But let's get started. All right. Everybody's talked about market shift today, but how are you changing your marketing strategy going into this? Your bar is so high, being top producers. How are you shifting?
I'm doubling down.
Yep, move it up a little.
I'm doubling down. Like when the market was really flowing well, maybe we would have skipped that marketing piece. Maybe we would have not done an event and done that. But now we've got to raise our identity and make sure that out of the smaller subset of transactions that's happening, that we are the one that is remembered and that we've already demonstrated our competence to that group.
Cool. Adam?
Same thing. We made an effort to start calling our past clients more. I was barely keeping my head above water the last few years, so I've really slacked on that. And we had a couple client events already in the last 120 days. We had a huge Santa party for the kids where they had pictures. And so we're just trying to get back face to face with as many people as possible, as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
People have talked about this today, but for us, it's just getting back to basics. Doing the things that we've all done so well throughout our careers. But as we got so busy, those things sort of fell off to the side. So just getting back to what we know works and getting back in touch with all of our clients. I think we've always done a really great job on our team of staying in contact with our clients, but really making them feel educated on what's happening, understanding what's happening in the market. And just, again, simplifying across the board. Yeah.
That's it for me. It's simple. And I was going to say detail-oriented, but I got the wrong prop. And this is supposed to be a note from my daughter. Instead, it's a puppy. Puppies are simple. But the simple note, and the simple way I look at it is it's Dad. Well, actually, John, I love you, Dad. Love Calla. And I think about that with client contact, with peer contact. When we're nice to each other, when we keep it easy, when we keep it something that people can keep in mind and remember that life is easier. One of the things I've really enjoyed seeing a lot of is the lenders out there that are putting those little snapshots of what it was like to buy, what it's like to buy today. I think that helps a lot of people when they're anxious, kind of bring it back down to a calmer level.
Yeah. Okay, what messages are you using on social media now that the market has changed? That was a good point that you made, John. I've seen those posts too from lenders about, if you if you bought in 20, at the end of 2020 at this price for $100,000 over, asking price, but, at 2.5% interest rate, how much different is, buying 10 under at 5.5? That's how the lenders are doing it. How are you guys re-messaging on social media?
I'll go on that one first. I follow actually agents on Instagram. If y'all do, it's pretty funny. And I saw this one a couple days ago. It says real estate agents will wake up at 11 a.m. on a Monday and decide starting a podcast about motivation, grind, and hustle will 10x their business. Yeah, isn't that you, Ryan? You might wake up then, but you keep going until about 4 or 5 the next morning. For me,
and RealtyHack was born.
I've got a stump speech on this one. It's about tone and it's about authenticity. I get really irritated because we are a noisy group as a profession. We talk a lot, we say a lot, we scream, we kind of kick our legs, throw our arms up in the air, and make a lot of noise. It ultimately creates this wave of panic where we see these headlines. I can't remember who said it earlier today, this morning, but this concept that across the United States we only sold 15 houses last year. I mean, that's baloney, right? We're doing well. In Austin alone, we were in the 33,000 range for houses that sold last year. If you look at the numbers, 85% of agents do one or less deal a year. So there's 3,000 agents in this market that are actually working that 5+ range. Look at the math. You've got an opportunity to succeed. The tone part of it, how many people look at last year, like 21, 22, and think appreciation rates of 25 to 50% are normal? They're not. Are rates below 3% or 3.5% normal? They aren't. I did this on going on social media early December. I put one out because I was kind of mad about this whole concept. We talk a lot about this stuff, but we're really not well informed and not well informed enough collectively to talk to these people who are buying homes and selling homes. We need to do that. We've got to root the emotion out of what we do and keep a balanced tone, and that's the approach here, is just try to make it easy for them to understand the world is still going on no matter what. We're not cutting people open and saving their lives because we fixed their heart, right? We're doing real estate. We're doing real estate, and it's not that difficult if you just put in the work, keep it easy, make it simple for your clients to get back in touch with you.
Yep.
I think it's just education again. The news is so alarmist, and if you read any of the headlines, it seems like the market here is crashing. We know what an opportunity we have here in Austin and how much growth is happening in the past, present, and in the future. And I think, for us, we just want to share the message of what's actually happening because we're boots on the ground. Everyone hears the rumors. People think rates are going to 9, that they aren't going to buy a house for 2 years, that there's going to be a flood of inventory. No one really knows exactly what's going to happen with all of those things. So we're trying to just educate them on what we do know, what we think is going to happen based on our knowledge of the market and the relationships we have with our lender partners and sharing the truth. So we're really just trying to share who we are, be authentic, and share the truth.
She hit the nail on the head. Truth. I actually don't like that chart or meme that's been going around all week because it's just not accurate. It says listing for $550 you can get for $475. That's roughly 15% less than the list price. The data says it's about 95. So know your numbers, educate the public, because my biggest problem is I have buyers and they've been looking for 4 months, but we walk into a house that's 1.4 and he's like, okay, well, I'll offer 1.1 for this, and it's not going to happen in a premier neighborhood. So trying to explain exactly what's going on and setting expectations, and it's fluid. It's changing fast right now.
Mm-hmm. And that's an interesting question, because do you feel like there's more education needed with buyers or what's hard? Who's harder to educate? The buyers or the sellers?
Sellers
are tough right now
to
too.
reality, like, okay, this sucks.
Well, it took a while,
but it did. They didn't want to accept the fact they missed it, but
Yeah.
They're still getting a lot of money if you go back 2 years. That's still a historical rate of return that we'll never see again, ever.
I would give myself about a D in social media, but across.
We're better than that.
Okay.
Speaking truth right now.
Okay, maybe
Dena,
a
is
C,
D
maybe
your
a C,
favorite letter?
a C minus. Yes, D is my favorite.
Dena Davis.
But we've changed our tone, with what we're doing. We've changed our tone, and just being realistic with people.
Yeah.
I think at first I felt like I had to apologize that they were not getting the rates of April and May.
Yeah.
And now I'm just looking on the bright side. This is where it is. Buyers have opportunities. It is, honestly, if you are a buyer agent right now, you're going to have more opportunities than you had in the tight market. Because you're going to get your offers. I mean, we had buyers that we had to bench because they just weren't rich enough. And that sounds like a terrible thing to do with people, but they weren't. They couldn't make, and now you have a lot more opportunities. You have a VA loan buyer, that, come on down. We want to do business with you.
I think in general too, like one word that you said that made me think of this is just positivity. Going back to your tone is like, our buyers are feeding off of the energy and the messaging that we share. And so the more positive you can be, the more positive they're going to feel about the current situation.
Cool. So we did an activity this morning with our Spyglass agents. You'll see these yellow sticky notes over here. We had everybody write down their goal for their number of transactions that they wanted to do in 2023, what the one lever is that they could pull every time to know that that thing would help them do more business. And then the third thing they wrote down was if they did that increase in business, what would it do for them in their personal life? So I wanted to ask you guys, what is your one lever? What's the one thing you always go to when you know I can always go to this and it's always going to help grow my business?
Get belly to belly with people. Get in front of people, get in front of them before they have the need. Sometimes I remember when I was early in my career, like, damn it, they didn't choose me. Well, it's because I didn't demonstrate my competence to them. I never sent them messaging that said, I'm the purveyor of information here. And that took me a couple of years of watching people get transactions in my marketing area to realize where I needed to be.
Competence.
Yeah, competence. Demonstrating your competence.
Do the hard stuff. Do the open houses. They work. Do the calls. I'm talking to myself right now. It's hard for me to sit down and focus and just call 20 people. Shelby would, verify that. But when I do, it just naturally happens. They're like, hey, by the way, my mom's house, she passed away a couple of years ago. My sister's moving out at the end of the year. I want to sell it next year if the market's good. Like, these things will happen if you call enough people.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's face to face. We went for so long where we didn't have time to carve out to sit down at a coffee shop or a restaurant with a client or someone in our sphere. And, I have found that the last 2 weeks, that's all I've done. And I keep thinking like, wow, I'm overscheduling myself. I have no time in my day. I go from coffee shop to coffee shop. But I got 4 leads yesterday and 1 this morning just from meetings of being face-to-face with people where they just are reminded what you do. And that's top of mind for them than the rest of that day or that week.
Yeah, you guys all say great things. This has actually been more impactful on my career of late. I took about 14 months and checked out of the business. I had some personal stuff in my life that I just needed to do. It's funny, Anthony mentioned this earlier. He said, if you're going to add all these things to what you're going to do, the million things on your task, what are you going to take out? Well, I took work out for 14 months, and I'm healthier, so it's all good on that one. But I learned coming back, which was, I don't know, did I miss anything? Because I started really focusing in August of last year. Did anything go on while I was gone? I don't know.
We'll talk, John.
I appreciate the patience on Ryan and Sunny's behalf. But what I learned is you watch shows, Ted Lasso, be curious, right? When you're curious, when your clients are curious, there's great interactions that occur. One of the things I learned early on is I don't have to work with shitty clients anymore. I find those pretty soon and then dump them and refer them to Kent, because I love you, brother. I don't do that. But it's just if you invest in them, and I'll kind of hit this on another question there, they're going to invest in you, and that's really what matters. That's how you maintain business, right? We all work off of referrals. That's the lifeblood of what we do, not running around on the wheel managing leads coming in. We build it by having a good relationship with people. And I can point to like 3 parties who've given me probably over the course of 10 years, 50 of my transactions alone. They're really high-end and easy to work with people I like, people who like me. That's the way I've kind of embraced this business. If I'm going to be curious, they need to be curious. Make it easy for them to call you for a reason. Make it easy for you to call them. Picking up the phone is also. There's so many fundamentals that we forget. we think about that agent waking up at 11, 10xing their business, rather than just doing the really simple things day in and day out.
So when I was peeking over at all of our sticky notes over there, I think the most resonating lever that I saw was digging into your database, which is basically what they're talking about, right? The way you get those coffee appointments and things like that is digging into your database. And Christina Mugner actually gave me an amazing example. Christina, you're allowed. Tell them about your Wailopo lead. Okay, well, she has beer, but she told me she had a Wailopo lead come through that she leased a property to 13 years ago.
Yeah, because they were in my database. Wailopo redirected them back to me when she went on, and I'm helping her buy a house right now.
Cool.
Pretty cool stuff there.
And one little script. Sonny, I was driving through Granada Hills the other day, and I was on a call, and I was like, shit, I need to call Sonny. It's been too long. How are you? And it's just that simple. Even if you were never in their neighborhood, you can say that.
Yeah.
Or just say you were thinking of them to give you a reason. You don't have to feel salesy to do it. It's just checking on people.
It's a great point, and Barry made that earlier today as well. He said you don't call and say, hey, how you doing? That's a horrible
Right.
call to make. You got to make it worth their time, and it's, he was talking about leads that you haven't talked to in a while or haven't followed up on. Hey, I noticed you weren't in here, and I was about to archive you in the file here, just wanted to find out, did you buy a house or not? It can be very simple. You don't actually need to come in with an ask every single time, but you have to every once in a while, because that's the only way they're going to stay tight with you.
Okay, here's the deep stuff. What is one thing you wish you knew 20 years ago? I mean, Adam wasn't he was in kindergarten, but me too. But
I'd say two things. I wish I had bought the cheapest house in the best area and built my network around that. Now, I'm not saying go get a $15,000 mortgage you can't pay, because that's not the move. But had I surrounded myself in a higher end area sooner, it's the same amount of work to sell 1.5 as it is 500. And by the way, I started when they were 115,000. So, I should have done that.
I think it's about mindset. I think I spent a lot of my early career not being confident about what I had to contribute. And so when we think about mindset, we think about, we're going to get it, and we're going to have our goals, or we're going to achieve it. Yes, that's a piece of it. But now I'm able to go into an appointment with someone and just serve them and know that I'm able to help. Well, hell, I could have served them and had that kind of ease with people when I was in the business for 2 years, because I knew more at 2 years in the business than they know now. So embrace it now. And when you're in an appointment with people, or even just advising buyers, just look at it as you're serving them as a family member, and I can now, because I'm not counting on that commission check, be very detached from the outcome and embrace that sooner. That's it.
I love what you said. I was going to say something different, but I actually want to build off of what you said. I do think mindset and confidence is so important. And you have to know, like when I started in this business, and I've only had my real estate license 8 years, so I had a totally separate career before this, probably similar to you. And you always know more than your buyer knows, or most of the time you're going to. So if you go in confident and just stay one step ahead of them and continue to educate along the way, I think you'll find that will serve you really well, instead of feeling like, I'm not experienced enough, I don't know enough. Your clients will feel that from you, and I think you'll find that you can build a business really quickly. I came into this industry really confident because of the skills I had built in a previous career, and I literally hit the ground running. Not because I was the best realtor, I have so much to learn still, but just because I was confident in my conversations. The other one I will say, and this came up on the luxury panel, is database. I regret so much that I did not start a database on day one. I have a great one now, but I just think of all the contacts that I missed in my first few years in the business that I just thought, I'll keep track of it. They're in my phone. The way that Cord manages, he's made it work for him. But I just buy yourself a database, even if your brokerage has one. You don't know where you're going to move around. Buy your own. Have your own system that can go with you wherever you go.
Our leads go with the agent, just so you know.
Something Ryan said. If I'm being honest, I would have appreciated the things that work better when I was 20 years younger. But no, I mean, I kind of on the same thing. I think of the Henry Ford, if you think you can or can't, you're right. But in this case, I switched that out for fear. If you think fear is good or bad, you're right. And that is a mindset thing, embracing it. And I remember early on in my career, when I made a mistake, how much work I did to attempt not to cover it up, but kind of make it seem like it wasn't a mistake, like there was some intention behind that. Now, if I screw up, I own it. The hands up there's like, I'm sorry. And I had a conversation with someone earlier today. It's amazing how much more authentic you seem to people out there when you just own up to something that you've done that didn't work right. You know, if I drop the ball on something, I drop the ball. And I'm going to call myself out on that one. That's really easy as well. The second thing I'd say, it goes back to that point in investing in people. Find people who are willing to invest in you. And I've been super blessed throughout the time I've been doing that. I've been through 5 brokerages, worked with a guy named Kevin Phelps and Phelps Properties, KW, Juice Homes, and then Compass for a cup of coffee. It was a good cup of coffee, very delicious. And then Ryan. And Ryan, you know, I met Ryan before I actually was licensed back when I was flipping homes, like 2004 or 5, somewhere in that time frame. And I mean, there are a lot of really good people. There's a lot of awesome people in this room here, and they're going to help invest in you. I mean, these are people who may not have any part of your fight in succeeding. But you know what? I think somebody else, maybe it was Cord who said this, you want relationships with people in this room because you're going to see them on the other side of a deal, and you want to work with good people because there are a lot of lousy real estate people who have licenses and don't invest the time and effort that these badasses have. And that's important. You want to find those people. You want to find ways to do deals with them. So find people who are willing to invest in you.
Did you have a question?
Yeah, I did. This is really great. You guys are crushing it. Have you noticed that these days that sellers seem to respect your time more than buyers, and that buyers just think that there's no time investment to writing up offers, so you should just write up 5 or 6 offers for them?
He's asking about people's expectations of your time.
I think it's all in presentation, right? I think I've had bad sellers and I've had bad buyers, and when I let the guardrails off of my schedule, that's on me, right? I've given them permission to bug me anytime I want. I think back Julie Nelson, who's at EXP now and was a production coach at KW years ago when I was there, talked about that and the importance of setting a schedule with people and setting expectations. I think if you do that, it's great. And anytime there's a negotiation that's ongoing, I'm available, right? And I'll make sure I'm available. But outside of that, if I answer the phone at 10 o'clock at night on a Saturday, that's on me. They have permission to bug the shit out of me from then on. But I can close it down the next day because we had that conversation up front. So I don't know that buyers or sellers look at it differently. I think sellers are a little easier because the anxiety hasn't been there. Buyers forever and ever in this market since it changed and at the beginning or end of 2010 into 11 when it started really going up. Buyers have always been on the hunt for finding a home in Austin, in the area here. So more anxiety. If something hits, got to go see it now, where sellers are a little bit more patient.
I also think, and I don't do buyers anymore, but I've seen it with my team where something has gone back on the market at a very low price. Just the other day, the buyer's not bidding enough. They should have just went full price and they're wasting time. That's not all entirely that different from when the market was high. With the back office joke is, oh, well, we got to teach them how to lose a property. Yeah. So sometimes that happens and they need to know through their own experience that this isn't going to work.
I've got a good question here that came through. It's basically, he says, do you believe in someone being strictly a buyer's agent or a listing agent? Or can agents do both and be trained in both? Obviously, you guys becoming top producers, you've done it all. Mm-hmm. So where do you find the balance between when you've got too much on your plate between listings and buyers and delegating things?
I did both for a long time. And now what I'm seeing is if I will just move that to my buyer's agent, they will do a better job at following up than me. They are actually in better hands with them than me. And I used to feel like, oh, they want me. But then at the end of the day, once they're introduced to someone really competent, I think you just have to stay in your lane. And for a lot of you that don't have the volume yet, you got to do both sides. And I did that for I don't know how many years, but I really took off, with my first buyer's agent, Stacy, when I was able to just get in my lane.
I
study the MLS for at least an hour a day, 5 days a week, and have since 2004. So I don't spend a lot of time showing houses that I know won't work. And in 21, I showed a lot of houses that didn't pan out because we lost multiple offers, but I closed about 60 buyers and 40 sellers myself. So it can be done. You can be both. I do it every year. But you have to have a good listing process because dollar per hour, that's the best. And every coach in America that I've ever talked to says I'm crazy and I should just quit doing buyers, but I like it, and it's lucrative if you get 3 and sometimes more percent or even a little less because you don't have some of the costs. So, and I feel like I connect more with buyers and they appreciate me more than sellers, especially the last 7 years when they expect you to sell their house for a lot of money.
Yeah, you can end up spending more time with buyers a lot of times.
Yeah.
Well, I love people, so I love buyers. I mean, I do both, but I would say, like, if I had to pick one or the other, I'd probably stick with buyers. I just love the process of helping people find the right fit for them, and it is so rewarding at the end of the day. But I do both, and I'll continue to do both because I like to do both. And my buyers trust me to then list their homes. I don't love to take cold listings, meaning like someone I've never met, I don't have a relationship with. So most of the listings I do take come from people that have bought from me and already know me.
I mean, that you said what I would say all the time. Buyers are special. Listings are great, and I think they're probably just mechanically and tactically easier to manage. But buyers, I mean, I think of this every single time. I think of the Lings who I helped buy 11 years ago. They now live in California. But we were walking out, and I was wondering why they're bouncing up and down. And you could just see this overwhelming amount of joy coming from them. And I'm sitting there trying not to cry because like I didn't realize you'd have that much of an impact on this. And it was still early enough in the career that I wasn't used to that, just struggling trying to get deals done. But they were so full of joy, and I'm not saying sellers aren't appreciative of it, but they've been through the process to kind of understand things. They've had that disruption of people going in and out of their house. They're just kind of done when they're done. So it's like relief, where buyers are like, oh yeah, we're in. You know, we finally got a house. Here we go. And there's so much joy that I get out of that. Plus, the other side of it, I'm just extremely nosy. I love going in people's houses and seeing how they live. I mean, that's just it.
Okay, one last question. Dena, give us your best Ryan childhood story in 60 seconds.
I don't want to say it.
Fair. Fair.
We should talk about the
videos of Ryan in Vegas.
Hold on.
I pissed in her face one time.
Yes, he did. I was a little girl, and I was looking down, and I was 7 years old, and I had never seen a pee-pee, and I looked down.
Are we still calling it that?
And then it went up.
Can I share biggest mistake
Please.
I wish I didn't make in
Please.
20 years? I'd say, you know, the biggest mistake is probably as important as anything is like I thought too small for too long. Like when I started, I was like, I got to do 2 deals a month to pay my bills. Like, and you know, if you're not there yet, that's okay. But like, this dude over here said something like 200 to 800 deals. My mind was blown. I'm like, dude, I'm playing too small. Like 800 deals, that's awesome. Yeah. And I stayed in this lower than, you know, necessary spot for too long because I thought too small. So I hope y'all all think big. It's a big market out there. These sales prices are crazy. Like still, like $550 a deal. I remember my first check was $2,400, and I held it like, oh my God, I can't believe I made $2,400. And so, like, just go out there and crush it because you can do more than you think.
Yeah. I remember looking to see how many deals I had to do to make $100,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my first goal.
One, actually.
I won, yeah, right.
Is the reality.
Now.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thank y'all so much for joining us up here today. We're going to, y'all give it around for our top producing panel.
All right, guys. That's it for this segment. Now, we still have the luxury segment. We still have the Anti-Lamachia segment. So we'll have a video up here as soon as it's ready. We might have a placeholder right now, but keep watching to find out everything you know to navigate this market.